Good evening. It's rare that I get to interview someone as well known as Tracy Holsinger, who is probably one of Sri Lanka's best theatre personalities and indeed directors. Tracy, very warm welcome to the program. You're smiling, but perhaps you'll smile more when I ask you what you felt like when you made your debut entrance to stage as a poppy, I believe, when you were 4 years old.
Yeah, well.
Do you have any memories of that?
I do. I do. I have memories of being really bad at the dance, which was kind of like a two-step thing, and I don't think I was nervous or anything, you know. I was amongst this multitude of poppies. I think I had my first crush on the lion, you know, at a very young age. I was just fascinated by the lion. But I wasn't particularly impressed by it at all. It didn't really make much of a mark on me.
But you never really were into theatre when you were small in your...
No, not at all.
Absolutely.
I think it's because I grew up with it just all around me, you know.
Which turned you off? I mean, most people who think that would have inspired you to... I mean, you were quoting Shakespeare when you were very small.
Yes, I was.
Yes, but you were not really into theatre.
No, no. I think the very fact that it was all around me kind of just made me back away from it more and more. I was reciting chunks of Shakespeare and Ibsen and Chekhov, and I knew it all, and reciting poetry that I barely understood. But when it came to actually performing in front of an audience, I couldn't do it. I'd freeze up, I'd just become extremely stilted, forget all my words, and that just put me off doing exams or performing at all. And I just thought, hey, I'm going to find something I'm better at. Which was swimming. Which was swimming and high jump and hurdles and all these things that I really got into in a big way, was very passionate about. And I think it's also part of that rebellion, because my grandmother from when I was quite young said, you know, this is a child who has to carry on the tradition. And I was like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm absolutely not. I'm me. I'm going to be this fantastic athlete.
But chances so happened that you did get into theatre.
Yes, I did. I was forced into it by a...
But also by accident, I mean, literally and metaphorically, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of therapeutic. I mean, I had this accident which meant I couldn't do my athletics or swimming anymore. And then I was kind of forced into this play by a friend who was a couple of years older. And it was just the most depressing play. It was by Rupert Brooke. He was quite a depressed sort of person anyway, and you know, it was all about murder and corruption, and my character was a little bit mental, and you know.
So did you play a role, or were you playing yourself?
Yeah, bring it on, bring it on. I was acting. Thank you very much.
Where I did want to go with that is that you did set up perhaps one of the most creative, experimental theatre groups in Sri Lanka, Mind Adventures. That's done some wonderful productions. You've never been comfortable in comfortable productions. You always pushed the envelope. Why did you set up Mind Adventures, and when? I can't remember exactly. This was
We set it up in 1999.
And why? Because you felt what?
Why? Because that was my goal anyway.
To set up a company.
To set up a company, to establish, I think, my own identity. All my life I was known as somebody's granddaughter or somebody's daughter or somebody's sister. And I left Sri Lanka for almost 6 years. And when I came back, I missed that time when so many people came into prominence, like Ruanthi, Feroz, Jehan, Adam, all of them. I think they were in their prime while I was away. And I missed growing up with those people in that sense, and they had a lot of sense of history together and stuff that I
But it wasn't as if you were... No, sure, but you were also studying theatre in England and in London, and you speak very warmly of those years.
I do,
So it wasn't as if you were not having fun, but it was a different life.
It was a different life altogether. I started working during my first year in college, and I worked my way backstage. I eventually ended up as head of stage crew.
And dressing the cast of Swan Lake.
And dressing the cast of Swan Lake. Oh my. Yes.
And that was the high point of the...
Oh, well, you know, from some points of view, yeah. It was an all-male cast of these fabulous royal ballet dancers, you know, and yeah, it was incredible to watch them.
So let me ask you a difficult question. When you did come back, and you just said that you had found that there was this group of theatre personalities who had done productions together, acted together, and in a sense had a history together. Would you have stayed back and not gone to England, you feel? Did you?
No. I think I was happy to leave. I hadn't really done much theatre here before I left. And I was dying to get out. I felt very stifled. I didn't...
Creatively or just...
Not even creatively. I didn't sort of know what I wanted creatively. But I think just as an individual, I felt that staying in Sri Lanka meant that I would not have an opportunity to pursue what I wanted to do, which was theatre. And there was nothing here at that time. And I really wanted a professional grounding in my craft. I'd picked things up along the way, but that's never been enough for me. I have to know everything. I have to get to the bottom of it, and I have to experiment. That's what I discovered in college, and I came back here quite determined to keep experimenting.
You've been quoted, and let me quote you. For me, theatre has always been experimental and has to interest me. I look for alternate venues, dramatic genre, and acting styles that are different. Now, have you found any of the venue or the styles that you find you would want to explore further, a kind of a space that you can call your own now, or are you still searching and experimenting and uncomfortable?
I'm still experimenting and I'm still very uncomfortable. For me...
but is that a failure or success of Mind Adventure?
It's success. It's definitely success. One of the reasons I started it up was to keep experimenting, to do new things all the time and to learn from it. And we've experimented with so many genres and forms and places. And it's been a learning experience for me. I feel that everything I do is just making me more... I think aware of where I need to go. And some things I experiment with and I put aside, other things I keep using in my productions. And it's all a learning process which will culminate in this one big production that I know is sitting in the future and which will, I think, complete my journey.
So is that pièce de résistance?
It's there. It's happening, and I just feel every year, everything I do is just leading me to this piece.
Is it difficult, Tracy, doing theatre, in English theatre?
It's incredibly difficult. Well, on many levels. We don't have training, we don't have resources for training, we don't have resources in terms of proper rehearsal spaces at all. That's a big thing. And when I mean training, I mean like basic things and sort of basic techniques in acting, like say Stanislavski or Alexander or Laban, or we don't have professionals who have trained and who can come and train us. And in that way, there's only so much training that I can do. And so actors here tend to have a lot of instinct, but not a lot of craft behind it, and craft is vital. So I tend to kind of work with actors I've been
working with over the...
you know, just teaching whatever I know. And I always like to work with new people who have come back, because inevitably they've learned something new, and I feel I can get something from that.